mad, bro?
Hey, granny girl.
What really happened to Jamani N. Parker, who had hurt a 20-year-old girl with her whole life ahead? Why was she found alone in the woods with a gunshot wound? What was she doing there? Who was the man accused of killing her and why? This is the story of Jamani N. Parker, a young woman whose life ended in a way that no one saw coming. She didn't die in an accident. She didn't get lost. She was shot. Her death shocked her family, her friends, and people who didn't even know her. This isn't just a sad story. It's a story with deep questions. How can a young woman disappear like this? Why was she alone in the woods? Could someone have stopped this before it happened? What does this say about trust, love, and safety in relationships? Her story deserves to be told. Her name deserves to be remembered. Before we begin, don't forget to tap the subscribe button. Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? What do you think as this story unfolds? Your opinion counts. These are real people, real events, and serious lessons we must not ignore. Share this video with someone you care about. It can make a difference, maybe even save a life. Welcome to True Crime Diaries, the place where we uncover shocking stories, unsolved cases, and deep mysteries from the world of crime. From real events to breakthroughs in investigation, we break it all down so you can see what really happened. Step in, look at the evidence, and follow the truth. The case is open, and what you're about to hear is as real as it gets. Are you ready to dive into the world of true crime? Let's get started. Jamani N. Parker was born on March 8, 2004, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. She grew up in a city known for its neighborhoods, schools, and community parks. Her family raised her in a caring environment, giving her the support she needed to grow and learn. As a child, Jamani showed signs of creativity and independence. She enjoyed being around others and often made people smile. Those who knew her described her as bright and full of life. She found joy in small things and liked expressing herself in her own way. During her teenage years, Jamani stayed close to family and friends. She continued her education and had plans for the future. Her lifestyle reflected that of a typical young adult, balancing personal interests with the responsibilities of growing up. By the age of 20, she had become a young woman ready to explore new stages in life. People around her noticed her confidence and how she carried herself. She remained active on social media, kept in touch with old friends, and made new ones along the way. She spent time between Milwaukee and other cities, including Nashville, Tennessee. Whether for visits, relationships, or personal goals, she moved freely in search of better opportunities. Her presence was often felt through her photos, updates, and the way she kept in contact with people. At the time of her death, Jamani was in a relationship with a man named Lavelle Winton Jones. He was 35 years old and significantly older than her. Details about their relationship became more known after her passing, as the case received attention. Jamani's story reached many because of how young she was and the sudden end to her life. Her name became known not for something she did wrong, but because she was taken too soon. Her background reflects the simple but real life of a young woman trying to grow, love, and live freely. On July 14, 2024, Jamani N. Parker was discovered in a quiet, wooded area near the Alta Lake Greenway in Nashville, Tennessee. The area is known for walking trails, trees, and calm surroundings, often visited by people for exercise or relaxation. That morning, it became the location of a tragic discovery. Around 10 a.m., employees from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers were working in the area when they noticed someone lying on the ground. They quickly realized the person was unresponsive. Emergency services were contacted without delay, and medical teams arrived soon after. The woman was later confirmed to be Jamani. She had suffered a gunshot wound. Medical professionals rushed her to the hospital, where attempts were made to save her life. Despite their efforts, she was declared dead shortly after arrival. The police were informed, and the area was secured as a crime scene. Yellow tape was put around the location, and officers began gathering information. Investigators took photographs, collected items found nearby, and started talking to people in the neighborhood. No weapon was found at the scene, and no suspects were immediately identified. The area did not have cameras nearby, making it harder to know exactly what had happened. Officers worked on tracing her movements before the event and looked into her recent contacts. Her body was taken for an autopsy, which confirmed the cause of death as a single gunshot wound. This information helped guide the investigation forward. The focus shifted to people close to her and anyone who might have been with her recently. The day ended with more questions than answers, but the work of the police had officially begun. Detectives continued their efforts to piece together what led to the moment Jamani was found in that quiet stretch of land. Her name was soon added to active case files as a young woman lost under suspicious and tragic circumstances. The scene where Jamani N. Parker was found was a grassy, tree-covered area not far from a public trail. The ground was uneven, with tall bushes and scattered leaves, making the area slightly hidden from view. This part of the Alta Lake Greenway was not busy that morning, which delayed her discovery. The body was located on a slight slope, partially surrounded by brush. Her position showed no signs of movement after she fell. Police marked the location with evidence flags and began searching for items that might explain how she got there. Nearby, investigators found pieces of trash and natural debris, but nothing clearly linked to the event. No purse, phone, or personal items were visible around her body. This suggested the area had either been disturbed or was chosen carefully. The ground showed no signs of struggle or footprints leading away. Forensic teams used tools to examine the soil, branches, and clothing for any trace evidence. They also scanned the nearby trees and ground for possible bullet fragments or casings. Officers created a search perimeter and blocked off the trail to stop anyone from entering. They documented the scene with cameras and logged every object within sight. Timestamps and GPS data were used to create a digital map of the entire area. The team worked quietly and methodically to avoid disturbing anything important. Every move was recorded for legal purposes and to support the investigation later. Police reports from that day described the site as calm, but clearly marked by violence. Once the area was cleared and documented, her body was respectfully removed and transported for examination. What was left behind became part of the case file, used to support further action. The discovery location became the starting point of a much deeper investigation. Following the recovery of Jamani N. Parker's body, law enforcement began a full investigation. Detectives gathered initial reports, checked recent activity linked to her, and reviewed phone records and communication logs. Their goal was to find any lead that could explain what happened and who was involved. Officers reached out to her known contacts, including friends, relatives, and acquaintances. Each person was interviewed to provide background on her recent behavior and movements. They examined social media interactions and call histories to build a timeline. Through this process, attention turned to a man named Lavelle Winton-Jones. He was identified as someone with a close relationship to Jamani and had been in contact with her in the days leading up to her death. Investigators began to look more closely into his background and recent whereabouts. Surveillance footage from nearby streets and businesses was collected and reviewed. While the location where her body was found had no cameras, areas outside of it provided glimpses of vehicles and movements during the estimated time frame. These findings helped link people and places to the case. As evidence grew, law enforcement gathered enough information to take the case forward. Lavelle Winton-Jones was officially named a suspect. He was arrested and later charged. The charge brought against him was first-degree murder, which indicates the crime was believed to be planned. On September 27, 2024, an indictment was issued. This meant the case had passed through a grand jury and would move to trial. From that point, Winton-Jones remained in custody, awaiting further legal proceedings under state law. The arrest marked a major step in the investigation. Authorities confirmed that no other suspects were being sought at the time. With the case now in the hands of the legal system, attention shifted to court procedures and upcoming hearings. News of Jamani N. Parker's death spread quickly after official reports were released. Local media stations shared the incident across television and online platforms. Her photo began appearing on social pages, and the public started paying attention to the details of the case. Family members expressed their loss through public statements and tributes. Relatives described Jamani as someone deeply loved, with a future that had barely started. Her name became part of several online memorials, where people lit digital candles and posted farewell messages. In Milwaukee, a memorial service was organized by her family. On July 30th, 2024, people gathered at Greater New Birth Church to honor her memory. Flowers, soft music, and messages from those close to her filled the space. It was a quiet, respectful event focused on remembrance. Community members wore shirts with her image and posted signs calling for justice. Local groups also used her story to raise awareness about safety and personal protection. Some held events encouraging people to speak out when they feel unsafe or threatened. Social media platforms saw a rise in posts with her name, often tagged with words like "remember" and "justice." Artists and friends shared photos and artwork in her honor. These efforts created an ongoing space for her memory to remain active in public thought. News outlets updated the story each time new details emerged. As the legal process continued, journalists followed court developments and shared updates with readers. Blogs, podcasts, and true crime pages also began covering her case more widely. Across both cities and online spaces, the response to her death remained steady. From church pews to Instagram timelines, people came together to reflect on her life. The reactions formed a public record of remembrance that continues alongside the legal journey now underway. The timeline of events surrounding Jamani N. Parker's final hours remains incomplete. Despite the arrest and ongoing legal process, not every step leading to her death has been made clear. Law enforcement has shared limited information, focusing only on what is necessary for court. Key details about her movements before the incident have not been publicly confirmed. Investigators collected digital records, but not all findings have been released. Gaps in the timeline continue to create uncertainty about how long she was at the location before being found. Authorities have not disclosed how the suspect and victim came to be at the same area. No eyewitnesses have publicly come forward with first-hand account from the day she was discovered. Official reports have not yet provided a full breakdown of physical evidence collected. No information has been provided about the weapon used in the shooting. Investigators have not announced whether the firearm was recovered or traced. Without that, important parts of the investigation remain open to further analysis. Statements from people close to Jamani have not included warnings or signs that she was in danger. Nothing has been confirmed about any recent threats or incidents prior to the day she was found. This makes it difficult to build a clear cause leading up to the event. Legal proceedings are expected to bring more information forward. As the court process moves through hearings and eventual trial, more documents and testimonies may be made available to the public. Until then, key facts remain sealed as part of ongoing case protection. The situation leaves investigators, journalists, and the public working with partial details. Official silence around certain points is standard in serious cases, but it adds to the unknowns. Until the court presents its full evidence, many parts of the case will stay unresolved. Once the investigation gathered enough evidence, the case against Lavelle Winton Jones entered the formal legal process. After his arrest, he was charged and booked under Tennessee law. The charge was listed as first-degree murder, which carries the most serious penalties under the state's criminal code. Court officials scheduled an arraignment where the charges were read and the defendant was given the opportunity to respond. He remained in custody without bond, and the case advanced through pretrial stages. Attorneys began preparing documents, motions, and other filings needed for trial. The court's role was to determine whether enough proof existed to proceed with a full trial. A grand jury reviewed the findings presented by prosecutors. On September 27, 2024, an official indictment was issued, confirming that the case would move forward. Legal representatives for both sides were assigned. The prosecution worked on presenting the timeline, physical evidence, and witness statements. The defense prepared its own materials, including statements about the suspect's background and any legal objections to the evidence. Court records showed that the case was marked as active and pending. No trial date had been finalized at the time of the indictment, but preliminary hearings were underway. The legal system began tracking all proceedings under a designated case number. As required by law, all processes were conducted under public court standards. Hearings were held in accordance with state procedures, ensuring both sides had a chance to present their arguments. Updates were made available through court bulletins and official news releases. The legal pathway ahead includes motions, witness preparation, and eventual trial presentation. Until the court reaches a final decision, the case remains open. The outcome will depend on the evidence reviewed by the judge or jury, as determined through the formal justice process. The investigation, arrest, and legal response reflect the structure followed when handling violent crimes. Law enforcement, medical teams, attorneys, and court officers have each contributed to managing the case in their respective roles. Family members and supporters continue to observe the process. Their involvement has helped keep the case visible and present in both local and online spaces. Memorial efforts and remembrance content have become part of how the public follows this case. The content of this report has outlined each stage with verified information, following a timeline based on official releases. All descriptions, dates, and individuals mentioned are part of the factual background available at the time of this production. This case joins others that are tracked through both traditional records and digital reporting. It serves as a record of events tied to a single person and a legal process that must be completed before closure is reached. All updates moving forward will depend on further legal rulings and statements from authorities. The information included here stands as the final portion of this report based on all accessible data at this stage. That's a wrap on today's case. But the story doesn't stop here. There are countless voices still unheard, stories still in the shadows, and truths still waiting to be uncovered. Here at True Crime Diaries, we're dedicated to digging deep, exposing the facts, honoring the victims, and keeping their memories alive. If today's case opened your eyes, just know more powerful stories are coming. Stories that will make you pause, reflect, and ask tough questions. Hit subscribe, like this video, turn on notifications so you're always first to know when a new case drops. We post regularly, and what's coming next is something you won't want to miss. Now it's your turn. What stood out to you in today's case? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your voice helps keep these stories alive. Until we meet again, stay informed, stay alert, stay safe. Because justice begins with truth, every voice matters. Every story deserves to be told.